Alrighty. All right. Stream looks like it's live. Everything looks in order. Just need to focus this a little. Right. There we go. Hi, love. I'm Michelle. Hopefully everything looks and sounds okay. Yeah, looks like it. All right. Get started. I think I'm gonna have to put out some more colors today. Looks like my piles look dwindling. All right. I am now just checking to see what is wet and what's not on my painting. Some of it's going to be wet, some isn't, probably. Uh, that's weird. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, not the ideal state where some of it's wet and some isn't. Ideally, it'd all be the same degree of wet, but we'll live. Not the worst. So, I'm going to be using some Gamblant solvent-free gel today. Um, we'll see how that works out for me. Not looking good so far. Come on. I don't know. I feel like it comes out a little too runny. That's why I prefer the oleo gel. So I was a bit lazy. Excuse me. A bit lazy yesterday. Partially because I thought I'd get back to painting and I didn't. Um, but I didn't put my palette away, so some of the paint from yesterday is already dry, which usually does not happen I put my palette away. So, gonna do some quick cleanup here. I have an airtight a palette box that I put my palette into after I'm done painting, and I also have a container of clove oil that goes in there with it. And those two things usually prevent a paint from drying out very fast. Um, but like I said, I did not do that last night. Oh, also, I don't have any earth tones on my palette. Also helps with that. Certain pigments dry much faster. All right. Mm. Okay, there we go. Reminder to all artists out there, or all painters rather. I guess all artists in general. Remember to squint. It's one of those things. Very helpful. That's why it's gonna need a little adjustment probably. So I'm getting a notification about my stream health that there is no sound coming from it, no audio. uh, I think it's pretty funny. Uh, I always get that notification when I'm just painting and not talking. Like, yeah, no audio because I'm not saying anything. That's how it goes. Which I guess is a good prompt to start talking. But I don't know, talking to yourself is, well, I guess some people do it naturally. I apparently don't. I think sometimes I talk to myself, but it's more of a like mumbling to myself, not exactly stream friendly. Me, Sue. Hi, little girl. Say hi, Misu. Come on, a little longer. Okay. I know you want pets. Really hard to pet you while I paint, though. Yeah. All right, little girl. Wish cats were better communicators. Dogs too. It'd be so nice if you could talk to your pets and they could talk back in a way that each side understood each other. Save them a lot of stress going to the vet and stuff like that. All right. So probably not very visible. On a sec. Dark. Look better. I think that looks better. So putting on color here, that might not be very obvious, but it's about to continue. That's why it'll be more noticeable. And that red is macrodome was so overpowering. Getting a bit of texture. So I know some people, um, oh, let me rephrase that. I know it can be viewed by some people as a gimmick to do the like what's it called? The roller, use the brayer and stuff like that. But personally, it, there's definitely effects it can give me that I can't get very easily with a brush. Too much. All right. A good start. Getting back into it. All right. painting light things in shadow, like in the dark areas, is very challenging. Trying to isolate the color and not letting our perception mess with it. Very hard. Isn't actually that off. This needs to go down a little in value. And saturation. There we go. I'm gonna reference. I have no idea what. That helped a lot less than I would have liked. Putting in the fur and like the details of it now is probably a mistake. I'll definitely be going back in and putting in more and subtracting and so on. But sometimes you have to put things in just for you so you can see it, even though you might be painting over it later. Dog needs some work still, but it's definitely a process. So let's take a look. Yeah, a lot closer. So funny how our eyes and our mind adjust everything we see. When I started today, like this looked very light, and then when I put in this wash, not wash, but the like light leak and stuff, it looked so light, and everything kind of looked light to me. I put the dog in, and now the whole painting looks dark. Just put this in, and everything else just dropped like 1 to 2, you know, layers on the, or not layers, but levels on the like how dark it is, at least perceptually. It's not bad. It's just, and I wasn't going for a super high key painting. I mean, I've done those before. This was going for a feeling and a mood, but not like the ultra high key paintings. And don't get me wrong, this is pretty high key. Even if at the moment it doesn't feel like it, it is. Hey, Don Lee. Dropping that color. Yeah, exactly, Don Lee. How you doing? Sorry I had to jump out of the uh, movie night midway. I was enjoying hanging with you guys. Did you enjoy the second half of the movie? Would you recommend uh would you recommend finishing it on my own time? I can say I wasn't like I was enjoying the let's say I was enjoying the company more than I was enjoying the movie up until that point. And there wasn't horrible. There were some fun moments to it. I think when my at some point when my paintings mostly dry, well, let me rephrase that. When my painting is completely dry, I'm gonna take some, either my black or like my blue or something, and put some on it just to for the contrast to see the contrast. The movie, only says the movie overall wasn't bad. There were some moments. If you're wanting to watch a beautiful graphics showcase, definitely not the movie for you, but it wasn't bad. Yeah, the I was not digging the CG effects in this one. I felt like they must have rushed the effects team, or uh you know didn't give them the proper budget. My assumption is almost always that it's one of those things and not like the visual effects artist's fault. Just because obviously there are people who are bad at visual effects, but you're not getting those jobs if you're bad at it. So I'm just assuming they just didn't have time or money, which translates into time or manpower either way. Might be good to finish as long as you don't put a hole in your pocketbook getting to see it. Definitely rent, probably not buy. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Maybe I don't know if it comes with one of the subscriptions I have of something. Maybe you know, the allure was definitely getting to hang out with people while watching it, not the movie itself. So I actually for some of it, I was actually playing Dark Souls 3 while watching it because I was trying to beat a boss. So I just kept dying and going back, dying and going back. It's funny. I think I spent more time in the loading screens half the time than I did in the actual like game for some of that because of how like quickly I would go in and die and then just come right back out. Having said that, I'm actually enjoying the game. Yeah, I actually think I'm pretty close to finishing it, although I feel like I missed a ton of stuff, so I don't know, I might have to do another playthrough with a like some kind of complete walkthrough or something. Dark Souls 3. I'm actually if I'm not mistaken, all I have left is uh the final boss and the one of the expansions. No, okay, the final boss, one of the expansions, and the hardest optional boss. I already beat one of the the DLCs, and I didn't even know it because I bought it with all with the two DLCs already like baked in. So oh, that's funny. Yeah, those the Twitch emotes aren't here, unfortunately. You know, there are ways of getting like there's all kinds of stream options that are out there, but I'm so like not like you know, I don't want to put a lot of effort into those parts of the stream. Or not I don't want to, it's lower on my priority list, I should say. Like sure, if I could I would, but you know. But yeah, that's yeah, the emotes on the YouTube are what they are. But thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. I will say this, I recently started doing something like you can join these covenants and you can do invasions and do PvP. I do not enjoy the PvP situation at all. Like really not enjoying that aspect of things. But anyways, other than that, it's a fun game. I've been enjoying it. We'll see if I feel the same way after attempting the Nameless King. Uh, Donnelly say you probably nope out of PvP too, especially since the game has people that have put hundreds of hours into it, waiting for inexperienced people to smash. Oh, it 100% is that. Like it totally feels like that. Like I did a I did a PvP thing, and the guy who was I was fighting, uh, like he knew all these tricks of like how to navigate the terrain, like places that you don't think you can even get to. He just gets to them because he knows that like if you roll into this tree off of it, like and run in here, you can like jump on these rocks that otherwise you can't get to. And it's like, man, this doesn't feel fair. Uh, yeah. So it's frustrating. That part is not great. As it is, I'm not crazy about like the PvP and the Dark Souls or Elden Ring stuff. Not crazy about it at all. But you know, it is what it is. I just wish that you didn't have to do the PvP stuff. And you don't have to, but if you want to get certain things, you have to. And that's frustrating. Finally, you said you're forgive your chat silence. You're finishing up a pet portrait. No worries, man. You are welcome to lurk and just work on your pet portrait. For those who don't know, Don Lee is an artist. He streams on Twitch. He does pet portraits, and portraits and other types of art. Mostly digital, unless I'm mistaken. Um, I've only seen his digital work, but yeah, good stuff. Don Leo on Twitch. Oh, thanks, Don Lee. Appreciate that. Glad you like it. Yeah. Uh, Starting to come out. Starting to develop nicely, I think. Hands are such a funny thing. I'm always tempted to do way too much detail in the hands. I say too much because almost every time I do it, I regret it and I have to paint over it and redo it because I love the details in hands. I love putting all that in, but it usually makes the hands look worse. So the trick seems to be actually, there's a couple tricks to hands. One is don't over detail them. Um, Another trick is, which is a very common painting trick in general, is to um, paint the bigger shapes first and then add the details. It really, with fingers and hands, is really useful. Otherwise, it tends to look like a bunch of little pieces jammed together. Oh no, Donley, your program crashed? You knew better, but it had been a while since you used it and hoped some updates might have helped. Ah, that sucks. What program? Do you mind sharing? Affinity? Uh, yeah. I haven't used Affinity too much. I used it a little, um, for a retouching job once. I was on a trip, um, and I took a small retouching job. Uh, I used my iPad, an Affinity Photo, but that's the extent of my use with them. That sucks, though. It sucks when you have a program that you really like, and it just they cannot make it work. Like all the features are great, but the stability is garbage. And you're just like, I want to use this, but I can't. You know, I personally I pay for Adobe Photoshop. Um, I pre-bought it, so I'm paid up for the year kind of thing. Um, because it's kind of industry standard and just one of those things. Like sometimes, you pay for the convenience of it working, it works with all the other programs with your job and so on. Um, when I was a when I was a teenager, I used to pirate it, like crazy. And I thought after they went to the subscription model, I thought people basically stopped pirating Adobe, like Photoshop. Um, Donnelly says, perfect description, good features, crashes like narcoleptic. Yeah, that's funny. Um, but yeah, I thought people stopped pirating Photoshop ever since they went to the you know, um, subscription model. Uh, Obviously, I stopped because I'm paying for it for work and everything. It turns out I'm wrong. A lot of people still pirate Photoshop, which I didn't know was a thing. You didn't know that was possible, but hackers do amazing things. Yeah, they do. Laura, these art, you wouldn't be able to get updates, etc. Well, you wouldn't, but well, sort of, right? Because they keep releasing new versions, and then the the pirates will hack it and release the newer version. So it'll be slower. You won't um and you definitely won't have any kind of support, although I'll tell you this as a person who pays for Adobe now. Okay, a few things. The subscription, like their updates are not worth the subscription. They do not update it regularly enough or substantially enough to be worth it at all. Like not even close. Um YouTube and Google are the support. Yeah, exactly. And their support is not great, even if for paying customers. Maybe if you're a big company, it's fantastic, but as not a big company, it is not great. I can tell you that. I once needed an issue. I once had an issue, and this was not even a big issue. It was like a mild billing issue, and not even one where I was asking for money back. Just a small billing issue. Oh my god, so painful. So painful to try and deal with. And I've seen a lot of negative sentiment towards Adobe lately, with because of all the AI stuff that they've been doing. Um, a lot of artists are dropping Adobe and going to alternatives. Anyways, how are you doing, Laura? Welcome to the channel. I'm trying to remember. For some reason I maybe I'm mistaken. I do not recognize uh your username. So if this is your first time here, welcome. You use Krita, always been free. Correct. Krita's great. I support what's it called? Um, Initiatives like that, you know. You saw an announcement in Don Lee's Discord and came over to see what's happening. Ah, thank you. Thanks, Don Lee. I appreciate you letting me post in your Discord about my streams. Um, yeah, I know Don Lee from I used to stream on Twitch, and through Pink Epoxy through her channel and her streams. So I assume you do art, Laura. What kind of what kind of art do you do? That's where you found Don Lee on Twitch? Yeah, yeah. I like I said, I used to stream on Twitch. I'm trying YouTube, see how it goes. There's bit of a different audience for oil paint and stuff like that. So I'm, you know, trying it out. So if you're curious, by the way, I do digital art and traditional art, but my YouTube channel is and Twitch are dedicated to my oil paintings. Because digital I do for work. Like I do storyboards for animation, for TV animation, and I do photo retouching for different companies, and sometimes occasionally illustrations and stuff like that. For done a couple comic book indie comic covers, stuff like that. Not much though. So yeah, digital mostly. Laura says she does digital mostly portraits, some pets, still lives. You've done acrylic painting and want to do oils. I've got this fear and mental block about it. Haha. I totally get that. I was afraid of touching oils for a long time. I will say this, um, as you know, someone like I was when I started getting into oils, I was already um, you know, I was already able to like do paintings digitally and everything. So even though I could even though I could paint digitally, when I got into oils, there was still a learning curve. So, um, you know, not a bad thing, just mentioning it because I know people can like get into things and then be a you know, they not go well and abandon. But yeah, well, I think I was afraid of oils. I was afraid of some of the health issues with it and so on. Um, and I tried a lot of alternatives and a lot of different things, only to eventually end up in like traditional, oils. Yeah, you call yourself a traditional, a digital painter. That's funny. That's funny. Took me a second. Yeah. Yeah. But I will say this about oils. So don't eat your paints. Don't use them as skin moisturizer. Um, be aware that oil-soaked rags, unrelated to oil paint, oil-soaked rags uh, or paper towels can spontaneously combust if you put them in the trash. So you need to dispose of them properly. And if you use anything with solvents in it, make sure you have a lot of ventilation. You do not have to use solvents. I don't. For the most part, I don't use solvents. And yeah, the those are probably the big safety tips. If you adhere to those, I think you should be pretty okay, at least safety wise. Otherwise, it's pretty, I think it's pretty you know, well, I don't know if it's pretty straightforward. There's a part of painting that's very straightforward and a part that's obviously not. But I don't know. I would say um, don't be afraid of trying it. Other thing I would say is there's a ton of there's a ton of resources out there on online. Um, and don't buy the cheapest paints you can get a hold of, because that will not be fun. Yeah, that'll make your life harder. Oh, thank you for the follow on Instagram. I appreciate it. But yeah, if you have questions or anything, you're more than welcome to ask. Not that you have to. You don't have to engage at all, but just saying, if you do, that's cool. Um, since you're on Twitch, check out also on Twitch Arthur Gaines if you're not familiar with him. He also has a YouTube channel, but his YouTube channel is if I'm not mistaken, it's more just like the VODs and time lapses. He live streams on Twitch. He's really good. Don Lee, I already follow you there. Oh, all right. And oh yeah, you know Arthur. Yeah. He used to do his paint-alongs. I didn't know he did paint-alongs. That's cool. We discovered a channel recently that does draw-alongs. Uh, Don Lee knows the channel I'm talking about. Something in Sarah. I can't remember. I can't remember the name because I can't remember names. Um, but uh, yeah, Don Lee recently did a portrait based off of one of their draw-alongs and interviewees. Buttery Smooth does it too. Oh, really? I don't know Buttery Smooth. I'm not familiar with them. I think the name's pretty funny. Oh no, Don Lee, I'm sorry YouTube keeps eating your sentences when you put emotes in. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm not seeing anything as far as like moderation goes, so I don't think it's related to that. Let me double check though. Yeah, I don't see anything regarding moderation, so I don't think it's related. Oh, that's cool that you guys are following each other already on online. All right, this arm needs some quick adjustments. This is one of those instances where using a small brush just made it everything worse. This is the part that sometimes I miss about digital art is stuff like this when I need to fix certain things. Like, oh my god, it'd be so much easier digitally. Not even fun. But sometimes even the process of fixing it and the difficulty it brings ends up adding to the piece. So it's kind of a give and take type of thing. So there's some ridges here from where the paint dried in between sessions. I do not like how it's making the hand or arm look. So time to just scrape it off. Yeah, I have legit done that when drawing before. Uh I have no, I have legit done that at conventions when I would do comic conventions and I would most of the art I did was digital, but at the conventions I would do sketches and commissions that were traditional. And I no joke would be sketching and try and like my hand would try and do the like control Z movement on the side. Absolutely. And I've also done the thing where I was once sketching on my iPad, um, like on location type of thing, and I was sketching, and then I erased something, and then I with my hand like brushed the screen as if I had like and eraser shavings to like brush off. It just brain went on autopilot. Laura, you're saying that's funny about the brushing the screen. Yeah. So one issue you have is pets. You know you'll get cat and dog hair in your paintings. Yeah, so do I. I have three cats and a dog, and if you buy a painting from me, you should know that buried inside the paint is 100% at least one hair, if not more. Just without a doubt, it's in there. There is no way it's not. I mean, honestly, with the way I shed, you'll be lucky if you don't get some of my hair as well. I try to like limit the amount of hair, of course, and I definitely try and limit the amount of dust. Um, but there's no getting around that stuff. Like it's going to be a part of it. And Laura, you're saying you would love to see pet hair in Van Gogh or Da Vinci. It's actually very easy. You can if you go to Google's art and culture and you look up Van Gogh's paintings, they have a couple of Van Gogh's paintings that they have like ultra zoom that you can like zoom in and see like very very close up on, and there's literally like bugs in it. Like you can see it because he painted outdoors on location, and there's some insects that got in there. There is a cat on your desk right now laying across your mouse pad. Ah, that's cute. So if you ever want to clone one of Liad's cats and or possibly him, just buy a painting. Yeah, sure, go for it. uh, yeah, I will be showing. I show my cats um, sometimes on stream, depending on circumstances and situations, you know. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I am wearing gloves. I wear I wear gloves because I have pets. And if I need, because it happens, you know, you need to pick them up suddenly or you need to deal with them all of a sudden. Um, I want to be able to have clean hands instantly, not worry about paint. So that's one of the reasons I have gloves. It's also worth mentioning for the safety of your animals. Cats are more susceptible um, to certain things as far as like what is it like certain oils or fumes, stuff like that. So just be careful with that. It, you know, you can do it safely, but you just have to be aware of it. And it's also worth mentioning acrylics are not you know, just because they're water based doesn't mean that they're all safe. In fact, personally, only time I've ever been like very ill from inhaling fumes, it was from acrylic paint. Um, so just be aware of that. Cats are much more susceptible to that stuff. Also, this is kind of a side note, but a lot of people don't know about this. Cats um, are more sensitive to certain, like I said, certain oils. And those atomizers that people have, like the little, you put some like fragrance oil in it and it like, this, it disperses it with little puffs of air or something like that. I don't know how it works exactly. Those can be very dangerous to cats. Um, because some of those oils aren't, some of those fragrances aren't even always, um, what's it called? Aren't dangerous to cats unless they are, unless they eat them or um, ingest them. But because of the way it atomizes it or something, it makes it more dangerous to them. The crystal lamps are very dangerous for cats. You mean like the salt lamps? Trying to think what crystal lamps. Like the Himalayan salt lamps? Like those pink ones? Why are they dangerous to cats? At times, cats are dangerous for cats. Cats are always a danger to themselves, without a doubt. They're little morons. They're not just morons, but they're curious morons with a dubious sense of danger. Misu. Ah, she's running away. I was gonna show a cat, but one second, let me see if I can grab her. She got away from me. Couldn't grab her. I'll have to look into the lamps. I'm curious why they're dangerous to cats. I totally believe you. I just didn't know that and curious why. Sodium toxicity. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I assume they'd have to like lick it a lot, but unless it puts off. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. My assumption is they'd have to lick it. Yeah, Donley, I agree. It is important to know these things, and it's easy to miss. There's a lot of things that are, they don't tell you because there's so many different things out there. It's hard to know. But yeah, that's why I wear the gloves. So at a moment, I can just. It's not as fun painting with gloves on, admittedly, but you get used to it. Excuse me while I stretch my back for a second. I'm still here, just stretching. I need to figure out a way of putting my mic um like right next to me as I do these stretches so you all can enjoy the ASMR popping of my back. Not that I think you'd actually enjoy it, I just think. Oh, also something worth mentioning because you talked about wanting to get into oils, and so this applies to anyone wanting to get into oils. When I first started getting into oils, I tried to get in. I tried water mixable oils, and those are they have their issues. Um, but one of the big things is definitely don't get the cheapest versions of those. Go with like the best version. Whereas with regular oils, you don't have to go with the best um, specifically. And then um, they're supposed to only use the water for cleanup, which kind of what's it called? Kind of ruins the whole point of them in my opinion. But yeah. Yeah, yeah, Donley, there's such a thing as water mixable oils, but you're not supposed to use the water in the paint while you're painting. Like people if you look online, people will use water to dilute the paint as they're painting with it. You're not supposed to do that. That that creates a ton of issues with the paint. For one, the paint then dries darker, ruining one of the beautiful aspects of oils, which is they don't color shift. Um, and it can break down the bond and make it less, you know, can damage the bonding that the paint has. It also makes it dry a lot faster. So yeah, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to treat it like regular oil paint, and the only difference is that all the mediums that you use with it, you buy, they have to be specifically for it. So you have to buy water mixable oils, and you have to buy water mixable, uh, you know, oil paint solvents or mediums. So just seems pointless. And then the cleanup, you get to use water, which, like I said, seems very pointless to me. It's not a money grab. There's how can I put this? There are real reasons to do it. Specific stuff you have to buy for it. No, I mean you have to because the stuff you have to buy for it has to be, it has to be made to be water mixable. But like I uh, we have a viewer here who um teaches art at an art school, and he used to I'm trying to remember if it was in his old art school that I think it was that they used water mixables. The reason is there's less solvents. People, don't use solvents or less of them or almost none. And so when you have a ton of people in a classroom type situation, it's very useful. Um, Having said that, you don't have to paint with solvents. I don't paint with solvents. I have a little airtight container for my solvents. I crack it open, clean my brush off at the end of the night, close it up. It's open for less than 2 minutes. So the amount of vapor or fumes is minimal. You can get away with that. You don't, and I don't even have to use those. It's just it is more convenient, so I use it for convenience. But yeah, you don't have to use solvents, is what I'm getting at. Having said that, some people are, what's it called? Very, specific about what their needs are. So I think it's fine for it to exist. I also think that the cleanup with it is probably a lot. Ironically, I think the cleanup with water mixable oils is probably a lot worse than with regular oils if you're painting in your own studio. Like if you're painting at home, I would think that cleanup with water mixable oils would actually be more of a pain than just regular oils. Because my cleanup is very quick. It takes me trying to estimate like I don't know, 5 minutes, something like that. That's it. Unless I'm unless I know I'm not going to paint for a long time, then it's a little more. Then it's a little more. No, this is not a commission. This is um this is actually a little bit of an experiment for me. I am I am thinking of doing a series of paintings, and this, depending on how this one turns out, um, will dictate like the series that I end up doing. So the reference for this image is what's called a found photograph. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Um, but found photos are essentially photos that have been abandoned in some manner. Um, a lot of times it's stuff like, people will open a storage unit that no one knows, like at this point, no one knows who it belongs to. The owner is gone, whatever. And, or a garage sale, or someone buys a house and finds a box of like old photos somewhere. And it's, you know, like these photos, no, like no one knows necessarily who they belong to or who the people are in them or any of that information. Um, it's usually it's like really old photos. Like this is actually a black and white photo. So I am also adding or making the color, you know, which is very challenging. I'm not used to doing that. It's actually my first time doing that. Luckily, I I'm pretty good with Photoshop, so I could use Photoshop to assist me in that aspect. And the idea behind it is just that, you know, I want to, the way I described it was I'm trying to paint a memory and make it feel like, you know, make it feel like your own memory, even if it's not your own memory kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. That's the feeling I'm going for. At the moment, I'm not really taking commissions. I mean, I'm not, how can I put this? Under the right circumstances, I would possibly take a commission, but generally I'm not taking commissions because I work full time as a other than painting. I so I would rather paint the things I want to paint versus commissions. But, you know, it depends. The right circumstances, I might take a commission. I have been working on some gifts for family members that would be the type of thing that would normally be a commission type of thing. Although if I did those as commissions, I would also make them a lot larger than I'm painting them currently. And show those in a little bit if you want to see. Actually, I did those on stream. I haven't finished them yet. I haven't had time. I've been very busy lately. I'll be honest, I hope when I get to the point where I'm like more open for commissions. Um, I'm not saying I don't want to ever do them, but I do hope that I can do them in a more, uh, let's say, limited fashion with more control over the commission than people normally give you for commissions. I guess that would be more creative control or freedom, I guess would be the way I'd put it. Yeah. Yeah, you get it. Yeah. So, I know I bring him up a lot, but Nicholas Uribe, if you're not familiar with him, um, I do bring him up a lot. Uh, Our Painted Lives on YouTube. Really good artist. I really like him. Um, they did a Kickstarter for their book. And one of the I think the only two options you had were you could buy the book, um, or you could buy the book and get a commission painting. But the commission painting wasn't a regular commission. It was you could get any a portrait of any artist you wanted. So you could ask for any artist, and that was it. You didn't get any more like control over it. Um, which I think was great. Like that's the type of commission I would like to do. I have a cat. Hey Dresden. Ah, Dresden. Say hello. Oh, hi, Fluffy boy. You know, if I could have a cat cam instead of my face cam all the time consistently, I think my YouTube channel would be way more popular than it is. Don't you think, Justin? They just won't stay still. True. Very true. They won't. This one, watch this. Watch. Oh, get your tail. He loves playing with his tail. He'll always go for it. That's so much hair. Oh my god. So much hair. This is why I can guarantee there's hair in my paintings. Without a doubt. Dang, that's me making him attack his tail. His tail's his play buddy. I've seen him do circles trying to get his tail. He is a absolute sweetheart. I love this little boy, but he is not bright. Lauren, you saying you have a Laura? Sorry, you have a fluffy cat like that too. That's yeah. They're so cute. I have two fluffy cats, one short hair, and a dog, an Australian Shepherd. Australian Shepherd doesn't make a will rarely make an appearance on the channel because even though we've had him for 2 years, he's a rescue and he's shy or hesitant about being around. Oh, Michelle wants to say something.
No, I was trying to bring Rupert over.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. I'd have to move the camera for it too. everything, so it's not really something I want to deal with. Laura says we have a zoo here. We have 3 dogs. Adult daughter lives with you, and she has 4 cats. Oh my god! And your sister, uh, and she has 4 cats. Oh my god, that's that's a lot. Michelle Donnelly says hi. Michelle bought a cat carrier for Dresden. Um, this is now the 3rd or 4th one. He will not go into it. Love, I'm painting and string right now. This is not the time to do this. This is not the time.
I'm gonna go check another cat.
That's funny. Donnelly, that's funny. It's been a long time since we've done anything like that. Oh. Uh, Donnelly was saying that Michelle is the ultimate Among Us player. Never play against her. And Laura, you saying you used to play the Fortnite version of that? Imposter? Really? I didn't know they did that. But I am not a Fortnite player, so. Oh, thanks, Donnelly. I had fun playing Among Us. It was a good time. I know they added a ton of stuff to it. I don't know if that made it better or not, but I know they did add a lot to the game. I really want to try Armor Core 6, but I don't know if my computer can handle it. I have never played the old Armored Core games. I started getting into From Software games with Elden Ring, and then I tried Sekiro. Didn't gel with me. I'll give it another shot at some point. And and now Dark Souls 3. From what you hear, it's pretty similar to the old games or to Elden Ring. Love the delay on things. It makes conversations interesting. the old AC Armored Core games. I don't. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I've heard it's really good. Other than that, I haven't heard that specifically, but I heard it's a really good game. It's not like Dark Souls at all from what you've watched of it. Well, I don't think it visually is like Dark Souls, but it is uh there are aspects of it that are um you know that carry over in some ways. But it's not a Dark Souls game. I'm aware of that. But what I mean is like it's still, you know, it's a fighting game in a way. Like you're, doing fighting with the enemy, and you have to kind of adjust your build and develop you know, your character, and you have to learn the attack patterns of the enemy and so on, which, kind of similar. Yeah, I hope I do get to play sometime. It might be a while. Like I said, I don't think my computer can handle it. My computer technically can't even isn't supposed to be able to handle Elden Ring. It does, but uh, you know, technically not supposed to. So, we'll see. A new graphics card is in the future at some point when I can, you know, justify it. Laura, you're a die-hard MMO player, World of Warcraft, Star Wars, Old Republic. Oh, Michelle, she plays World of Warcraft. I tried to play it. I was bored, so it's not for me. Not that WoW doesn't have action in it, but it's a very different type of action. So, um, yeah, I don't know. There's a like it. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. More tactical, less active in a way, or less direct. I don't know. But yeah, I couldn't get into it. If you're into those games, though, have you played the new Baldur's Gate? I know that's been very popular lately. It's grindy and task driven, which is what you most thrive on, as opposed to real life where I can get nothing accomplished. I know that feeling. Yeah. I yeah. I don't know. I like I like first person shooters like Doom 2016 and Ultimate or yeah. And I used to like Overwatch kind of over Overwatch. Um and been really loving Elden Ring. Have I ever watched Portrait Artist of the Year or Landscape Artist of the Year shows out in the UK? Yes, I have. I've watched a lot of that. I like those shows. However, there was one episode, uh, it might have been more than one episode because I think the guy went through that drove me nuts because it was a guy who was he would do drawings and to be fair, his drawings were very good. I am not nothing wrong about his drawings. Very good. But my issue um my issue with it was he was doing a cross-hatching technique where he does like these um interlocking cross-hatching that change direction and it's to shade, obviously. That's what cross-hatching is for, to give texture and so on. This is a technique that has been around in comics and in manga for a long time. Nothing new. Um, the judges are not comic book fans, and it shows because they were like gushing over this that they've never seen this before and how he's created his own, you know, um, visual language and so on. And I'm just like, man, someone should pull them aside and be like, yeah, you guys are going to sound like idiots once this goes on air because this is not new. Yeah, so that happened. But otherwise, yeah, I like the show. I don't always agree with winners and so on, but it's, yeah. Yeah, you often don't agree with the judges, but art is subjective. Art is absolutely subjective for sure, and it's definitely like like you said, I don't always agree with the judges, but that's fine. This specifically, I was just like, you guys just don't, you literally just don't know what you're talking about. And so that's the problem. Like what Kirk Shannon does, I don't know because I can't think of who Kirk Shannon is off the top of my head. But it's that it's the cross hatching where it's like there'll be like 3 or 4 lines kind of going one way, and then it'll be another 3 or 4 going at like an angle to it, and then another 3 or 4 going at a different angle, and it can cover like big areas with it. You'll message me on Discord, but you're pretty sure what you describe as that. They often mutter about people. Laura says they often mutter about people using photos as reference. Yeah. You live near Kirk Shannon, you're a city apart. That's cool. Yeah, they're definitely more, traditional and old school about um the painting process. Although I feel like in the later seasons they've uh they've warmed up to it a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if I've thought about it, like how would I approach it if I was able to go on Portrait Artist of the Year? How would I do it? Right? And because of the limitation, the 4 hour limitation, you obviously have to adjust to that. Um, I I don't know if I would grid uh things out. It's the obvious go-to because it's quick, or precise rather, not quick. It's precise. Um, I don't know. There's a Canadian series of Landscape Artist of the Year, and the artists are a bit more non-traditional. They have more collages and such. Interesting. I wish they would do this show here in America too, but at the same time, I know if they did it in America, it would end up being, well, there's a more likelihood of it end up being like more of a, reality show competition, and kind of lose the feel of the show and also be meaner. Because at least I feel like in Portrait Artist of the Year, they're all kind of like everyone's kind of nice, everyone's there for art, like it has a real nice feeling to it. American TV producers would just do it like reality show. It was, um, oh, you were just typing out that exact sentiment. They would hit people against each other. So yeah, I think so too. Conley says, I think it all depends on the judges they find and the producers. Yeah, it does. The competition could be good. Face Off was great, but you've watched some shitty art-based reality shows. Which one is Face Off? Is that the visual effects one? Because I have not seen the the only um American reality show like that I've seen was The Great American Bake Off, which is the same people that made the British one make the American one, right? And so they kept the feeling across the board. That is the only American competition show that I felt they didn't pit each other against each other. Because even I saw a makeup one, and there's still a degree of like competition that they put each other. Yeah, Face Off was the special effects makeup one. Yeah. So even on that one, they would do a thing like they would do like, okay, these are the three bottom people, and then out of the three, we take two and we put them in a head-to-head challenge at the end kind of thing. It's like this that isn't for Portrait Artist of the Year. That's not how you want to handle it. Dunley, you're saying you'd say Face Off is worth going back and watching. I don't disagree with you. I'm not. That's not the issue. I'm saying for. I'm sure. Like I'm sure. I'd say it's probably one of the better reality shows. I'm just saying specifically for like Portrait Artist of the Year, a version of that. I wouldn't want those elements in it. That's all. Gotcha. Stream delay. Okay. Yeah. 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 But yeah, it's a good that one's a good show. I've seen episodes. I just don't it's not how I would want uh a Portrait Artist of the Year type of event, show. That's the only thing. Hi Misu. Hi little girl. Another cat here. It's funny because when I started painting today, the first thing I did was I addressed some of his torso and stuff. And now, even though I just painted it today, I'm painting over it because as soon as I put in the dog, the whole painting shifted a bit. No worries, Donley. Thanks for keeping the stream up. Enjoy your lurk, and see you later. So, Laura, you weren't here earlier, but when I started the stream today, um, the dog was in the painting already, but he was much less fleshed out, um, and darker. And as I put in all the lights for the dog, it just shifted the value of everything over. So I am adjusting everything accordingly. And that's part of the reason I haven't touched the faces that much in a while, because I knew some of this was going to happen. I don't want to keep adjusting the faces. So I just leave them for later. Yeah, the risk is losing likeness if that's a goal. Uh, in this instance, it's not. But you are right. That is an issue to be aware of. There is another issue, um, which happens a lot more in traditional, um, which is the paint buildup can produce all kinds of different textures, and those textures are often fantastic and add a lot. However, on faces uh, this small, uh, they can be very detrimental. In this case, I'm not super worried about the likeness because the reference is found photography. I'm not really a big concern of mine. However, I agree generally it would be a big factor. It's very 60s, 70s. Yeah, absolutely. you probably can't see it very well right now, but he actually has a pipe in his mouth. So yeah, they'll just add to that feeling. I found some really great photos online, but they're like I think they're from like the 1800s or something like that. They're great. They're like really really cool looking. Um One I found was very like best word I can describe for it is kind of haunting. Like it's so messed up at this point. The photo, it's all cracked and it's so cool looking. But I don't like. I think it would make a great painting. I just don't know if it would make a great painting for the series I'm working on, especially because the outfit is so time specific. Like no one would think it's modern, like anywhere near modern, unless it was like someone at a, Ren Fair. Oh, my black. Never had a black that was so overpowering like this one. I think I'm gonna have to adjust the outside of this arm. I suspect it drifted a little. Looks like it to me. I'll leave it for now and I'll check it later because I'm pretty confident it drifted. That is a danger of my painting style. Any painting style that is messy and not like in the lines. Even ones that are can happen for sure, but the tendency for things to drift when I paint this way much higher than when I paint tighter and like draw everything out first. Uh, Laura says that's one of the things I'm worried about with oils. The pet's getting at the piece while it's still wet, just being curious, knocking it over, trying to get my attention. For sure. Um, it it all depends on your situation, right? Um, my easel is set up as a standing easel, right? Not that they can't possibly get to it, but they're a lot less likely because there's not like a good perch for them on it. Um, and so there's that. All the paint, the palette, everything gets sealed away. Only thing that's left is like the wet paintings. You can see up there, I actually have a painting up there drying. I, I've used that before to put paintings up there to dry so they can't get to it. And then I also have behind me, um, I put up shelves. Obviously, they can get to those. That's not for drying as much as it is for display purposes. Um, Laura says, I got a fancy tablet, and just because I was protective over it, everyone was wanting to examine it. Oh, yeah, I know, for sure. Uh, you know, that all depends on your circumstances and on your situation. Like I said, they don't really go for the easel because of its, you know, its height and location. Having said that, it's also worth noting I generally don't leave the cats in my room unattended. Like for short occasions, sure, but at night they're not in here, doors closed, no access, type of thing. Definitely uh something to be aware of. But yeah, the only thing is the wet paint, the wet panels, as like like I said, I put mine on a on top of a bookshelf where they can't reach to dry, stuff like that. I also just I also did a thing where I took a I took like uh some like cardboard, and I made it into like a little V. Like long but like V. And the reason, and then I made sure that it was like all taped up like that. And then I put that on the I mean, you could do this with nails, honestly. There's no reason you can't do this with nails. You could put a nail in the wall and um use I have these things like binder clips, put a nail, and with a binder clip, grab the top of the painting and hang it on the wall to dry type of thing. Somewhere they can't reach. I did it with cardboard and a command strip, but you can do it with nails. It's not a big deal. This isn't to say you have to get into oils. I'm just saying that as someone who's dealt with it, I've had to come up with some solutions for some of these things already. The my palette, so you can see this is glass, um, and it's just a cheap piece of glass I bought at the hardware store for like $5. Um, and I bought a there's a palette called, like, I think it's Masterson's palette or something like that, and it's basically like a giant Tupperware thing, and by giant I mean it's like 12 by 16. So when I'm done painting, I take this whole 12 by 16 glass and put it in that and lock it up. You really want to, but because I put pressure on myself, it causes me to delay. Sure. I know what that's like. I mean, if you want, I can make so what type of I should ask, like, what type of painting or art you do. Like, are you looking to do you know even? Are you looking to do alla prima or direct painting, which is often used interchangeably? Are you looking to like do glazing and layering? Um, it's okay if you don't know, because some of this is experience based. So it's like, if you don't have the experience, how would you know? But maybe you have some experience or something. I don't know. Just asking. Hey, Cody. Welcome. Good to see you. Laura, Cody is an art teacher, by the way. He has a school in Colorado. One day I'll remember the name. Like escapes me. I like the name too. That's what kills me about it. I actually really like the name. So, we were just talking about Laura wants to get into oil paints, and I was just kind of talking about it a little bit. I was going to make some suggestions, but I wanted to find out kind of what she wants to do first. And then I was going to make suggestions if I can, if I have anything to offer. Which honestly, if glazing is her intention, layering and all that, I'm not sure I have anything to offer. You did oh, Sparrow Art Center, that's what it's called. Right, Sparrow Art. Laura, you did one oil painting when you were about 12 years old. That's cool. Oil paint is arguably the most forgiving traditional medium. Bare finger smudging. Oh, you did use a lot of oil pastels and smudged them a lot. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Um, Cody, I think, is more familiar with indirect painting than I am. I will say this, I learned indirect painting um, with acrylics. And I don't understand why there's this sentiment online that people like that that acrylics are for direct painting and oils are for indirect painting. To me, it seems completely opposite. Like, if I had to do indirect painting, I would do it with acrylics. Because with acrylics, at least it dries very fast. So you can just layer and layer and layer very easily. And they tend to be more transparent anyways, naturally. Because the what's it called? The binder can only accept so much pigment. It's more limited in its capabilities around that. You've done wood burning on dried gourd acrylic painting, digital painting. Oh, on dried gourds. You've done acrylic painting and digital painting. Got it. Cody says sometimes the only way to get good transition in acrylics is to glaze just because it dries so fast. Yeah, absolutely. I, I totally agree. I don't understand why anyone would like. I don't understand direct painting in acrylics. To me, that makes no sense. The only like caveat to that I think is what's it called? Um, Golden has a an acrylic paint called Golden Open, and it stays open for a bit longer compared to regular acrylics. But yeah, I don't know why anyone would use acrylics for direct painting. I don't, and like I said, I don't know why that sentiment is there. I understand you can do indirect painting with oils. It's a traditional, it's a thing. It sounds like a huge pain in the ass to me, but it's doable. I just think acrylics would be better for it. Cody says, I'm for sure more of a direct painter, but you love having glazing in your back pocket as an adjustment tool in mid to late painting process. I get that. Like, okay, it's worth saying a a basic glazing to adjust things I can do. I understand the concept of glazing. Um it's more the indirect painting where you do the so my art teacher he taught a system where you would paint you would draw out the character and the figure, and then you would paint them with I'm trying to remember, he used the wasn't a dead color exactly, but it was like a I don't remember what color. It was some kind of flesh color, but not a very accurate one. And then you would put whites in for all the highlights, like anywhere that there were, like on the nose. If there was a highlight, you just put pure white in. And all the shadows were like a specific color, like a dead color kind of thing. And then you would glaze the whole thing. And then you'd repaint a lot of that. And then you'd glaze it again and again and again and again. And like it was this whole process. Um, it produced really good results. Like it made really good um the obviously the results were only as good as you were as a painter, but it had the ability to produce very smooth paintings, very good transitions, very deep colors. It didn't look very plasticky like some acrylics can sometimes. Um, you could get that subsurface scattering in there too to a degree. I had a lot of positives, but oh my god, I don't want to paint that way. That is not a system I want to touch at all for painting. So yes, I don't mind glazing, like doing a little glaze to adjust the color or something. I do not want to paint like that though. Also, I want to be brushier and more expressive, and that those two don't necessarily go together. Oh my god, it's almost 10. Okay. I am gonna probably wrap it up soonish. Um I'm I can feel the fatigue setting in. As far as the painting goes, it's come a long way. You know, I'm like looking at it now, if I'm assessing it, and I like to do these assessments. Obviously, I usually do them more in my head than I do, verbally, but on stream I try and do them verbally. So, assessments of like what needs work type of thing. So, let's see. Let's do a quick rundown. And I'll be working on this more on Wednesday. I'll stream on Wednesday as well. Okay, so the obvious, the faces. The faces need painting. Um, Not much. I'm not going to go in there with like, a one hair brush and like do that. Um, so yeah. Uh, there is a like it's an outlet and a cord hanging from it. I'm going to put that in. Um, so that will get put back in. Um, let's see what else. His torso still needs a little bit more work. His pants right here and his belt. Not a ton, just a little bit. The dog, its it's two paws here and its leg here and its other leg there need a little bit of work. Maybe, a little on the face and the ear too. It's kind of blown out in the photo, so, we'll see. Um his shoulder, like I said, his shoulder and arm, I think it's migrated a little and needs a little adjustment there. Her hand needs some finishing up. Maybe his hands, but like I'm okay with not having a ton of information there. So we'll see. I'm okay with that for the most part. Her dress here, I think, needs just a little something. And here, because of the ruffles, I feel like they need a slight bottom edge to them to help them out. Um, so I put this line into for the wall because it's the corner of the room. That needs addressing a little. Like the walls need slight addressing to make them feel different and not just a line going through it. Having said that, I think that is like those are the things that like pop out at me, which mean it's getting close to being done. I know it's been slow. I like to paint. I wish I, was going faster. I definitely notice my speed being reduced as I do this while streaming. But yeah, so that's where the painting is at. Of course, there's a bunch of other like tiny things I will end up like touching as I go through it, but those are the main things. Oh, and their head and hair, I guess would be, I consider that like part of the face. But yeah. So yeah, that's where things are at. I can feel myself, kind of losing steam, so I definitely think I'm going to be calling it a day. Um it always seems to be around the 3.5 hour mark. Hopefully, can pushed to like the 4 hours in the future. But yeah, I'll probably have to. They'll probably have to wait till next Sunday. So, Laura, and anyone who's new here, I stream Monday night, Wednesday night, and Sunday day. That's my schedule for the moment. And Cody says, yes, glazing an entire painting is too much. It feels like painting the same thing over and over. Yeah, but to each their own. Yeah, absolutely. It's glazing a whole photo, a whole painting, and the process and the weird like disconnect that it has to the system. It's just not something I want to mess with, um, personally. But yeah, teach their own for sure. It can produce amazing results. It's more an issue of enjoying the experience of painting it versus the final product. Oh, Laura, subbed, and I'll make sure notices are on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. Before I go, let's have cats. So, a little bit of cats before I go. Hi, Misu. Hi. You're such a cranky little girl. This is Misu. She's our only short hair cat. Misu. Trying to get you to look up, little girl. Oh, I'm glad you could make it in then too, Cody. Thanks so much. And thank you. I'm glad you like where the painting is going. Little girl. I know, you're so cranky. Hey. Shh. Don't get that attitude with me, little girl. I don't know if you could hear her hissing at me, but she was very vocal. She's always very vocal. It's just how she is. She's silly. Anyways. All right. Have a good night, everybody.